In this next video, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about space properties and naming of spaces. So you can modify the properties of a space by selecting it and using the properties which we can use to control the constraints, the electrical lighting, the electrical loads, the mechanical flow, energy analysis and identity data. To select the space, if you've got the crosshairs switched on, then we can just click on it straight away. If you happen to have the crosshairs switched off, so VV down to spaces, and let's turn the colour off as well. So you've got a normal room like this. All you need to do is move your cursor around the room until you come across the crosshairs, and when you click on it, you've then got that space. So if we look on the properties here now, we can see the constraints, which is what the upper limit is, and any offsets that we've got, base offset. Then we've got the electrical lighting calculation work plane. That's the height of what the work plane for lighting calculations need to be based at. This is a default height. You'll need to look at the electrical standards to find out what these figures needs to be. Your engineer should give you that. The reflectances associated with the ceiling reflectance, wall reflectance and floor reflectance, these are standard default figures, and these will remain unless you've got specific material requirements that need these to change. Then of course you've got the electrical loads such as the HVAC loads per area and other design criteria. You've got the information. Now this is grayed out because you've got no control of this. This is the size of the room. The only way that this would change is if the room changes. And then of course you've got other areas such as mechanical flow, and then the room data. Now, looking at naming spaces. Whilst we're here, we can go in and change the name of this particular room, or we can change the number, name and number. This grayed out area here, this is the architect's room number, as you can see. Room number, room name. This darkened area is our space number and space name. And then there's also energy analysis here. Now, with regards to naming the room and numbers, we wouldn't go along and change each one individually. What we can do, however, is we can utilize this architect's room name and numbering, and we make our spaces match. And there's a quick way of doing this. All we need to do is use this space naming tool here, and we get this pop-up. And as you can see, architectural rooms are typically a blue colour, where our spaces are green, as you've seen from our display. And we can use these options to only update the names or update the numbers, or both. Typically we'd always leave name and numbers ticked. And then here, this will apply for all levels. Now we've only done the ground floor, so we've only applied spaces to this ground floor. When we use this, we can, if we've done the upper floors, we can tell it to do all floors, or we can choose a specific floor and click on it this way. It has the same effect in this instance. And when we click on OK, you'll see that all of these names and numbers will change to match what the architect has got. So as you can see, all of ours are all called Chase, but our numbers are in sequential numbering order. Now that that's completed, you can see we now have our spaces to match the architectural's room names and numbers, such as classroom, nurse's office, electrical room, corridor. Now, the architect hasn't got this because we've created this. And as you can see here, we've got this dotted line. This is to indicate that this is where we've got our space break. This black line here that you can see, this is the architect's room divide, and obviously our space is based on the rooms. That's why we have this dotted line here to indicate the change between this and this. Now, as you can see, corridor 2 there and corridor 2 here. That's because we've created this, so we would need to manually go in and change this by just clicking on it and changing this to whatever it is that we want to say, such as breakout space. We can also go in into the number itself and change it that way.